Akwaba, bienvenue, karibu. Welcome to the third edition of the Africa Women's Sports Summit, live from the Accra International Conference Center, Ghana. Returning for the third time as resident host is Miriam Osei Ajimai.
Schedule, but we are grateful that you made time to join us here at the Accra International Conference Center. Now, we are still expecting some participants to join us. May I kindly, humbly, respectfully ask that the participants on the left and the right can kindly join us in the middle so that when the other participants come in, they don't interrupt the sitting. Respectfully, if we can kindly come to the middle nicely, thank you very much. We're going to have a good show today, definitely. Thank you. It means so much to us. Thank you so much. The Africa Women's Summit, Sports Summit will be live on Max TV. And so if you don't mind, you can also share the links to your groups, to your friends, and on social media on your handles as well. And we're also live on our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube as well. You can use the handle Africa Women's Sports Summit 2022. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Now we will proceed. Again, for those of us who are here for the very first time, this is the Accra International Conference Center. And of course, we've chosen this venue for a purpose because the Africa Women's Sports Summit is growing by the day. From when we started 3 years ago till now, we have gone through some really tremendous change positively. So we thought, why not elevate even the venue as well? Now, for 3 years, we have been training and also championing the cause for more women to take up leadership position in sports. Every year, we meet with our carefully chosen panel to discuss some very important issues affecting women in sports in our continent. Today also, we'll look into why it is even more important now to build stronger institutions for women to thrive. I mean, whenever women take up key positions in any sector, they're very well celebrated. It's not only because it crowns their hard work, but you would agree with me that it adds on to the cause to have more women and eventually have a level playing ground. My name is Miriam Osei Ajimai. I'm with Media General. Media General consists of TV3, 3FM, Onia FM, Onia TV, Connect FM, and Takrade, and of course, Akoma in Kumasi, and 3news.com, as well as APL. And it's a pleasure to have you here. For anyone who's been following the AWSS for a while, you remember that when we began calling or sending out a call that we take our place. Because at the time the AWSS began, there were very few women in leading sports position. And so there was a need to charge women to take their place because we believe that we are competent and we can take the place. The second year, we sought to change the narrative by changing the mindset. Yes, you have taken your place, but what you do with the position you have taken is to change the mindset that sports is male-dominated. And this year, we're making a very bold statement and saying, we're ready. What are we ready for? We're ready to see the change that we so desire. So today, my panel and I will give you some answers. And the exciting thing about today is that you can also ask questions and get the answers that you need. Before we move on, though, I think I need to acknowledge some very important women in our midst. Of course, we are all very important, but of course, there are some torchbearers that we need to acknowledge today. And so we acknowledge Gloria Commodore. She is with Women in Sports Association. Do we have Madam Gloria in our midst? Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. And she was very early. That's how much she respects the gathering of women. Thank you so much, Madam, for being here. As well as Madam Joyce Mahama. She is with the Women's Sports Association of Ghana. Madam Mahama, she's here. Give us a wave. Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. We also have in our midst Madam Evelyn Insia Asare. She's with the Sekendi Hazakas. Do we have Madam in the house yet? I'm sure she's on her way. We also have from the Women's Premier League Management Committee, Hilary Boate. Madam Hilary, is she here yet? She probably will join us very, very soon. And also, we have from the Berry Ladies Football Club, Madam Gifty Oware. Do we have Madam Gifty yet? I guess she's on her way as well. From the Rich City Football Club, Cleopatra Insia Nketsia. Is she in the house? Yes, she is. Thank you so much for being here. And I think that this lady is giving me the most exciting evening as far as 2022 is concerned. And it's for very, very valid reasons. It was a very big platform of football giants. And it was a night where everybody who matters in African football and even beyond was present and was acknowledged. And I had the rare privilege to moderate or co-MC that precious special evening. I have here Madam Kathleen Arthur from Arthur Legacy. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. We also have in our midst today from the French Embassy, Amazaya Alberta. Is Alberta here with us yet? I guess she's on her way. And so this one is going to challenge me a little bit. Forgive me if I fumble a bit with this name. Asamen Sudu, Bayern Munich. Did I get it right? Yes, I have in the house Madam Patience Agri. Thank you so much for being here. And by the way, is it okay to say Munich or München? Which one is better? Munich is better for Ghana. And so we go to Germany, then we can say München. Thank you so much. We also have in the house today the club licensing board representative, Madam Mavis Amano. Is she here with us? Please give us a wave if you are. Okay. And then we have from the Women's League Board, Madam Rosalind Amon. I remember her very well. I think she was with us, if not the first or the second, AWSS. And also from, well, she's yet to come because I'm not sure I have spotted her yet. We will also have in our midst from the Accra 2023 LOC committee, Madam Eva, or should I say Council, Eva Ocho. She'll be joining us later on. And we have a sports lawyer in our midst. We have Madam Sybil Marie. Do we have her in the house? Hello, thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure you have seen from the program that our special guest for today is the second lady of the land of the Republic of Ghana, Samira Baromia. She'll be joining us very, very soon. At this point, though, I'm going to invite the one who conceived today's idea and have been nurturing it for years. And for the third year running, it has come to life. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the founder of the Africa Women's Sports Summit, Juliet Bewa.
Juliet Bewa. Juliet Bewa is a founder of the Africa Women's Sports Summit, an award-winning sports journalist with demonstrated history of working in the broadcast space. She is currently the group head of sports at Media General, a leading media group. Over the years, she's also built a broad portfolio in international relations, digital marketing, public relations, branding, and communications. In 2019, she started the Africa Women's Sports Summit to harness greater female inclusion and mentorship in the African sports scene. Dear African woman in sports, welcome to the 2022 stage, Juliet Bewa.
Hello, everyone. Very good morning, and thank you very much for coming here. It's a privilege to be here and also to see everyone here this morning. So, Her Excellency Hajia Samira Bawumia will be joining us shortly. But distinguished African women in sports, all other protocols duly observed. I welcome you to the third edition of the Women's Sports Summit here in Accra. It gives me absolute pleasure that once again we are gathered to deliberate and also profess solutions to some of the very topical issues in our sector. It was just 3 years ago that we birthed this idea, and to foster greater female inclusion in the African sports ecosystem. Today, we share a collective interest in seeing the event grow. This year, the Africa Women's Sports Summit is looking at the wider subject of leadership in sports that is in Africa and why stronger institutions matter. We settled on sports leadership in Africa because it's just about the right time we talk about that. In the last few years, I guess we have complained about the level of leadership in sport in Africa. It is obvious that there is a yearn for one that truly inspires across the continent. Now more than before, it has become important to focus our energies on ensuring that Africa's sports institutions are built on leadership that is very intentional. In comes our Be the Change theme, which is a clarion call to all stakeholders to be positive and also progressive change agents in their respective fields. The change starts with us, and we must also be active partakers, as I always say. Today, you hear from some of the very respected women in African sports. Our speakers are proving, or they have proven record of being amongst the best in their area of practice. We are happy to welcome Barbara Gonzalez of Simba SC, Tanzania, who is a role model for most African women in sports who want to go into full-time sports administration. It is very evident what she has done with Simba in Tanzania. And Barbara, like I always say, I'm always proud of you. Anytime I see you do great things, I'm happy about that. We also have in our midst the ever-bubbly Thato Mueng of Supersport. We are seeking perspectives from Thato on what she has seen so far as sports leadership on the continent is concerned. Someone who spends every day chasing or tracking sports leadership issues in Africa. It's important as a journalist. She's definitely has a lot and has seen a lot, and she will be sharing with us today. We're also glad to be joined by the very respected Na Odofole Norte, private legal practitioner and also CAF match commissioner. And like I always tell her, Na needs no introduction. She's been there and she's done that. Na, thank you very much for coming. She offers so much hope and also inspiration to young African women, particularly those who want to still keep their 9-to-5 jobs and also while actively involved in sports. She's a good example of that. We are also excited to have, very soon, we'll see Her Excellency Hajia Samira Bawumia, the second lady of the Republic of Ghana. Her Excellency is a known enabler of women's empowerment through her special initiative, that is the Samira Bawumia Empowerment Humanitarian Project. And her acceptance to be the special guest for the 2022 Africa Women's Sports Summit only reaffirms her passion. So ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly excited about the growth of the summit in the last 3 years. And 3 years ago, like the moderator mentioned, we set out to present a platform for mentorship, for training, and also for greater female inclusion in the African sports scene. I remember when we started this, it was to build a community where African women in sports can tap into the enabling opportunities to grow their personal and also career goals. The way we see it, we have an idea that encourages African women in sports to attain height or any height at all that they want to. Of course, this would mean bringing them closer and also exposing them to these opportunities and what is possible. That is the reason why we are gathered here, and that is the reason why we've been doing this for the last 3 years. So we are building this for the African woman who is actively contributing or engaged in sports at any level. The maiden edition featured participants from all over the world under the theme, Take Your Place. It was a groundbreaking event that empowered young female sports journalists to lead and also impact their communities. And their testimonies are endless. Till date, we keep getting from people who have been directly impacted. We are happy to hear stories that more young women say to us that they decided to take their place in sports journalism after the event. This is what we set out to achieve, and I'm glad that it goes to our collective gains, and we all made it happen. You all here are the reason why an African woman somewhere didn't give up on their dreams. Very soon you'll see the AWSS impact story on your screens. And just to talk a bit more about 2019. Since 2019, we have mentored over 5,000 young and also established African women in sports through our special speaker sessions and boot camp, one of which was led by the Secretary General of FIFA, that is Madam Fatima Samura, in 2020. We have provided sporting equipment to Asamansudu Bayern Munich lower tier football club in the western region of Ghana, owned by and also coached by Madam Patience Agri. So I'm really happy to see her here today. This woman who has over 2 decades been developing talent on her own with little or no support at all. And through the summit and the team, we're able to get in there to support her somehow. We have also aided over a dozen African women in sports through referral opportunities with partner organizations. And in the coming years, we hope to institute an online school dedicated to various areas of interest from sports leadership, business, sports medicine, and also journalism. We look forward to starting an internship placement drive as well with some of our partner institutions. The goal is to get a decent number of African women in sports employment ready every year. And we hope to also do that with the help of our partner organization. We have a huge dream for Africa Women's Sports Summit, and we want to use that to encourage all others and also to bring this initiative to bear. It is important that every African woman in sports living everywhere gets to experience for themselves the full benefits of being in the midst of like-minded people. And we are hopeful that beyond this year, this is achievable. The event itself is also expected to grow into a week-long festival, and that really excites me and the team as well. So I want to thank all who continue to support this initiative, my colleagues in the media, to our donors and our sponsors, all the way from year one till now, as well as our speakers, facilitators, and vendors. We are building something beautiful, like I always say. I want to take this opportunity to also call on corporate Ghana and also the wider business community in Africa to come with us on this journey. And we know that something great is going to come out of it. So ladies and gentlemen, today's summit presents us with a unique opportunity to be the change that we want to see. If you want to be in that leadership role, if you want to talk about that leadership style you want to see, you have to be the change. So I believe it's about time. Thank you very much, and let's have a great event.
Ladies and gentlemen, founder AWSS, Juliet Bewa. All right, before we proceed, let's also acknowledge a few ladies in our midst. I have Salma Ahmed. Is Salma here? Salma's yet to join us. What about Helga Goka? Is Helga here? They are journalists, they are sports journalists in our midst today, as well as Abigail Sena Sosu. Is Abigail? Yes. Thank you so much for being here. As well as Tilda Akolo. Is Tilda in the house yet? On her way, I guess. Na Badina is Na in our midst. Yes. Hello, Na. Thanks for being here today. Helen Nane Ikuya Dako. Is Helen in the house yet? On her way. Abigail Eduboahin. Mary Eshan. Is Mary here yet? Susan Owusuansa. Na Amanwa. Is Na here yet? Okay. As well as Matilda Dimedo, and Betty Yorson. Nana Ama Ajeman. Is Nana Ama here? She's on her way. Monica Bukhari. You are here. I see you. Thanks for being here. Monica Bukhari, Joyce. Ano, your boy. Is Joyce here? As well as Esther Abankwa. Hello, Esther. It's interesting most of you are in that corner. As well as Nafisatu Fatal. Is Nafisatu here yet? Hello, Nafi. Okay. Edna Kwansa, Angela Clote, Zoe, Anita Efia Odoi. Okay. Aisha Tus, Zachariah Ali, Valerie Selassie, Peggy Amor, or Peggy Alfo, my bad. Princess Nafisa, Nana Ekia Frema, and of course, Amankohene Pinel, Elizabeth Al-Hassan, Irama Kakraba Ampe, Esther Osei, Ekia Boatima, and Matilda Sayyida Sadiq. I'm sure somebody will wonder, why did I take the trouble to mention all these names? It is important because when Juliet was, talking about her impact, she talked about the fact that after the first summit, more and more young women wanted to do sports journalism. And that, for me, is heartwarming because, usually when we go to, journalism school or we start practicing, sports is never really an area that we consider until a lot of persuasion, because either it's been, the stereotype about it being so male-dominated, or we feel like it's plagued with too many technicalities. And so for a summit to inspire so many young women to want to venture into sports journalism, ladies and gentlemen, I think this deserves a loud clap. We still stay on the impact. And of course, the African Women's Sports Summit seeks to mentor, to train, and to champion the cause to have more women in sports. And here's an example of what we're talking about.
In 2019, an idea to start a community of African women in sports was birthed. It was to harness existing potentials and tap into unexplored ones for the greater good of the African woman in sports. In 3 years, the Africa Women's Sports Summit has achieved some decent gains with a promise to do more. In 2019, hundreds of African women in sports from around the continent came together to take their place. Leading speakers from the world of sports journalism and corporate community took turns to offer nuggets that did our participants a lot of good and continues to.
Indeed, it was a significant step towards actualizing the dream. We took off well, giving the platform for young and aspiring sports journalists to learn from established ones. It was a beauty of an event that also gave us a true picture of who needs what kind of mentorship and support.
At the heart of the Africa Women's Sports Summit is mentorship. To date, the event has mentored thousands of young African women in sports through the summit and the smaller group bootcamp sessions.
So we see mentorship as a necessary knowledge tapping experience that must be done well. These summits and the boot camps we hold offer a lot of that. We are glad to hear of the amazing testimonies that come from far and near about how the summit shaped their personal and also career choices and even their mindset. This is what we really set out to achieve, that we are able to give a reason for the African woman in sports to keep going is most rewarding for us.
Mentees of the Africa Women's Sports Summit are spread across the divide.
Hello Africa, my name is Tabitha Kanjungwa, a sports broadcaster from Namibia, and I can say that the previous Africa Women's Sports Summit was an eye-opener. It changed the narrative of how we should stand up as women in sport and really just take up space. And this year's Africa Women's Sports Summit, I really wish everybody all the best. I hope that you enjoy and you learn so much from those that are participating in that is the summit. With love from Namibia.
A truly Pan-African brand, the event continues to bring together Anglophone and Francophone African women in sports together for shared experiences.
Hello, my name is Esther Abonkwa, sports journalist with Angel Broadcasting Network, precisely Angel TV as well as Angel FM both in Accra. I attended the maiden edition of the African Women's Sports Summit way back in 2019, and the theme for that year's edition was Everything Take Your Place. That is the summit that I attended, whereby we had different speakers, the likes of Nana Vanamo, the likes of Carol Chabalala, the likes of Juliet Biwa herself, among a host of other seasoned speakers that indeed inspired and helped some of us. For me, for instance, in order for me to develop the confidence that I need in order to take my place in a field that is predominantly dominated by males. And trust me, I can say that that particular summit was the edge for me. That was a summit that has helped in my transformation of becoming one of the best female sports journalists that we have in the country. And I'm optimistic that this another edition of it altogether will help for me to be able to build my network, build my confidence, and then help to make the difference in the field that I have found myself in, that is in sports and in everything in entirety.
3 years after the maiden event, the Africa Women's Sports Summit is that idea that keeps giving.
Hi there, I am Nana Ama Ajiman, a sports journalist working for GH1 TV. So 3 years ago, I attended the African Women in Sports Summit that Taking Your Place. At that time, I was contemplating if I should pursue my dreams of becoming a sports journalist because of the perception people have about female sports journalists. But after the program, I had a change of mindset, and here I am now taking my place. I am entreating every woman who has passion for sports to attend this year's African Women in Sports Summit. See you there.
Part of what drives the vision is to ensure that any form of help is equitably accorded, such as the donation of sporting equipment to the Asamensuddu Bayern Munich lower tier team headed by Madam Patience Agri. The prospect for the Africa Women's Sports Summit is huge. It is an idea that would truly live up to its name and objectives.
The future, I believe, is very bright. We want to truly build a legacy brand, one that inspires and constantly looks out for the African woman in sports. We want to grow into a week-long festival and variables that cater to the needs of every African woman in sports living everywhere on the continent and beyond.
In the years ahead, the Africa Women's Sports Summit will continue to play an active role in the lives of the African woman in sports. It is a promise that will be guarded and seen through. From taking our place to shifting mindsets, we are ready to be the change we want to see for our collective good.
Well, we do have Madam Patience Agri with us today. Please give us a wave once again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all that you're doing for the young talents out there. So we are ready to be the change we want to see because we've been empowered. Some of you may have joined us from the first year and the second year, but I'm sure that we have some newcomers as well. Very soon we will go into our conversation with a panel, but I'm just curious to find out from some of us, what are our expectations? Because we have very seasoned, very bright women in sports constituting our panel today. I'm sure you have expectations. So maybe I'll take about 3 expectations, and you can either use the microphone in front of you or you can ask for the microphone to be brought to you. And if you can share with us, what expectations do you have of today's summit? Anybody at all? And I would love to hear as many female journalists as possible. Should I start from my famous left wing? Because it appears we have a lot of journalists on the side. But really, I would like to take some expectation. But before that, indulge me as we rise onto our feet and welcome the second lady, Her Excellency, Samira Baumia. You may be seated. Your Excellency. Now that's what we want to hear, but can we hold on that for a minute so we can officially welcome Her Excellency. Thank you so much for being here, for taking time out to grace this occasion. We're grateful. All right, should we? Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a good exercise, wasn't it? If we haven't hit the gym in a while, that was a good spark for our nerves and our bones and all of that. Anyways, for our guests were wondering what the song was. Was a very patriotic song. It's basically talking about the fact that it would take you and I to build our country. It would take your effort, it would take my effort. So if things go well, if we do well at it, we prosper. If we don't, well, the reverse would happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this very moment is special for us, and we've been privileged and blessed to have our second lady of the land join us. Now, she's very progressive, she's a go-getter, and as our founder mentioned earlier on, she, through her foundation, is empowering women in various forms. And it's no surprising that today she's joined us to add her voice to the charge to say that it is time for us to be the change that we want to see. Your Excellency, I'll leave the podium for you. This is your audience. Your audience are privileged to have the second lady in our midst.
Hello. So technology has its own challenges. Okay, give me the hard copy then. I was trying to be a little more modern by using my iPad, but I'll probably go the old-fashioned way by reading my my hard copy, which is always good to have a backup, isn't it? So it's a real pleasure to be here today. It's an honor, actually, to be joining you all at the Africa Women's Sports Summit to deliver this keynote address. I was out of town. I'm a little bit jet-lagged. I just got back. But I was committed to joining you for this event. So I said, well, I will be out, but I'll make sure I come back in time to be part of it. So today is a celebration. Today is a rallying call. Today is a day of meet and greet. Today is a day of encouraging each other. But let me begin by congratulating Ghana's Evelyn Badu, who made our nation proud by winning 2 prestigious awards at the CAF Women Youth Player of the Year and the CAF Women Interclub Player of the Year, the recent CAF Awards in Morocco. We're really, really proud of her. We're also proud of our South African national women's soccer teams, the Bayana, for winning the first Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Congratulations. We're very proud of you. And of course, our Nigerian cousin, Tobi Amusan, for winning gold and breaking the world record for the 100-meter hurdles and making us at the Athletic World Championship and making us all very proud. Of course, I'd like to commend Juliet Bewa and her team for championing women's sports on the continent through initiatives such as this summit. This year's Africa Women's Sports Summit affords us the opportunity to also address issues relating to sports leadership in Africa and building stronger institutions. The theme, Be the Change, is very appropriate and timely. It's timely because it's the global push for greater involvement by women in sports. After decades of being sidelined in the sporting sphere, has engendered a similar movement on the African continent. Subject areas such as formats of various women tournaments, equipping and empowering women to hold sensitive positions in various sports, and resourcing athletes and teams to build their capacity and compete at the global level has garnered more attention than ever. Approximately half of the continent's population is female. I'm sure most of you know that. In terms of the working population at the lowest artisanal level, or the basic SME level, women are the dominant force. And this is especially true in Ghana, where women own about 46.4% of businesses. That's according to the MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurs. Societal growth and development cannot, therefore, be effectively achieved without significant consideration being given to women. Sports provides opportunities for more women to reach their greatest potential. Sports has become a universal language, a common denominator that unites across national barriers and cultural differences. According to the University of London, the global sports industry has estimated some 600 billion per annum, the value that is, making it one of the most successful sectors in the world. Unfortunately, women's sports, particularly in Africa, have not been given the same attention and the investments as men's sports, despite its ability to change social norms, boost self-esteem, and the economic power for women and girls. Deloitte estimates that TV and sponsorship revenue for women's sports are expected to eclipse about 1 billion. So we're talking about 600 billion, and we're only estimating 1 billion for women's sports. So it tells you this, it's vastly disproportionate. Female sports continue to cry out for better sponsorship, media coverage, and tangible opportunities to be on an equal footing with the male counterparts. So investing in women's sports, especially in Africa, has a key role to play in boosting the economy of African nations. Giving girls more sports participation clearly offers them an opportunity to build courage and self-efficacy. Indeed, increased female participation in sports has proven to greatly benefit young female athletes physically and mentally, as well as academically. And a lot of us here may miss our inter-corps days. Not that I was an athlete, that's a disclaimer, but I used to enjoy watching the athletes at inter-corps. It used to be the highlights for us back in the day. Sports as a field and by extension a career path chosen by many women goes a long way to impact generations, both male and female, and the transfer of knowledge and relevant skills and tenets by major actors in the field of sports, especially women, convey the deep conviction that it is possible to succeed in any viable endeavor. Women at the height of their careers, their sports careers, also provide direct and indirect mentorship to their younger generation and in reaching for the highest standards of their profession and practice. So the African woman sports professional, whether active or retired, journalistic or performance-based, has a role to play in establishing rules, procedures, and standards which culminate in the execution of critical functions in critical sectors of daily lives and economies. So ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that the African woman in sports cannot begin to inspire change in their respective fields without strong institutions, which means she ought to be part of building those institutions. The change that Africa needs for us women, who are on the front lines in various fields of endeavor, is to have us also at the seats at the table and to ensure that we are also part of those critical decisions that are being made. Therefore, I encourage you all to take up positions of influence if an opportunity to serve avails itself. Let us use this as a way to shape policy and to influence decisions that affect us. You do not have to look beyond Ghana and the African continent for inspiration. Within our country, we have the likes of Madam Abibata, who has dedicated much of her life to promoting women's football, and she's now an executive council member of the GFA. Farida Idrisu, who was recently elected as a vice president of the International Swimming Body of Africa Zone 2. On the continent of Africa, there are the likes of Aisha Johansson, the former president of Sierra Leone Football Federation, who is now a member of the FIFA Council, Nawal El Motuakil, who is a member of International Olympic Committee, and Fatima Samura, the first female Secretary General. The African woman seeking to play a leading role in the structural reforms and administration of sports should take inspiration from all of these outstanding women. In order to do so effectively, we must widen our horizons in knowledge and the acquisition of valuable skills that can make us globally competitive. This means we have to learn to be diligent and thorough in every aspect of our lives. We need to be able to identify opportunities that are available to us. We have to learn to identify the qualities that will make us be better. Our world is a competitive one, and in order to stay ahead, we must permanently strive to be the best we can be. I'll conclude by calling on all of us here and those following us from home that the change we aspire cannot be done by resting on our laurels. We must come together to create more. We must strengthen the institutions in order to do better. We are stronger when we come together, and we must be the change we want to effect. Thank you so much.
Surely we can do better than that. Her Excellency took us down memory lane, the days of Intaco. Recently, on last Thursday, my best friend posted an old photo of mine And when I saw the photo, I just said in my head quietly, thank God for Jesus. Because it wasn't a flattering scene at all. I mean, I was a tomboy. And, I used to love basketball. I wasn't the best player, But I think that the few lessons I learned doing a few tackles in basketball, it urged me on in my career. Because as journalists, there are a lot of setbacks, whether within or without. So I think sports has a way of disciplining the mind so that when you face resistance, you'd liken it to the same resistance you face on a pitch or whatever, and that should spur you on. Anyways, another day, we'll talk about our shameful experiences as Interco, those who went to play the games and those who went to check out the boys. All right. We want to say a big thank you to our donors, because obviously you couldn't have done this without them. And so we say a big thank you to Finish Line, Optimedia. Thank you so, so much. We also say thank you to Flowstar as well. Flowstar, thank you so much. And also to Homeda Kinte, thank you so, so much for your support. Now, let's get down to that conversation. Earlier on, I was asking if we had some expectations. I'll take that expectation as we go along. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce our speakers. Carefully chosen, very bright women in sports. Leading, well, in no particular order, but I think I know why the organizers put the speaker first. She's the first CEO of a football club in her country. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker for this morning is Barbara Gonzalez. She's CEO of Simba Sports Club in Tanzania.
Barbara Gonzalez. Barbara Gonzalez is Chief Executive Officer of Simba Sports Club, a first for any football team in Tanzania. She is a World Economic Forum global shaper, a business analyst and consultant. She holds a master's degree in development management from the London School of Economics and Political Science and a bachelor's degree in economics and political science from Manhattanville College, USA. She's a doer and an enabler of things that truly give hope to African women in sports. Dear African woman in sports, welcome to the 2022 stage, your speaker, Barbara Gonzalez.
For her as she takes her seat. All right. Our second speaker, and as Julia said earlier, if you're looking for a role model, who be a shining example of how you can maintain your 9 to 5 and also be very active in the field. Let me also add, if you're looking for a role model who knows the law, and she's a no-nonsense person. Ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker is Now Odofole Norte, private legal practitioner and CAF Match Commissioner. Please put your hands together for her.
Na Odofole Norte. Na Odofole Norte is a CAF Match Commissioner and legal practitioner. She is a partner at the law firm Bayou & Co. She sits on the board of a number of institutions, including the National Sports Authority, the National Service Scheme, the Law Reform Commission, and Apex Bank. She served on the FIFA CAF Normalization Committee for the Ghana Football Association. An achiever at many levels, she has excellence written all over her name. Dear African woman in sports, welcome to the 2022 stage, your speaker, Na Odofole Norte.
And being here. All right. Now to our third speaker. She's very bubbly. She's full of life and full of energy. I mean, how many people in broadcasting do you know will be able to hold down an awards program 3 months after having her baby? But that's for a reason. She loves the sport so much, she's aspiring to own her own football club soon. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from South Africa, our third speaker is Tato Moeng from SuperSport South Africa.
Tato Moeng is a radio and TV sports broadcaster, voiceover artist, and journalist. She is one of SuperSport TV's leading on-air personalities with an enviable reach across the continent. Moeng started a career at YFM and later moved to 5FM as the first black female sports reporter on the station. A go-getter, she's become an inspiration for many African women in sports. Dear African woman in sports, welcome to the 2022 stage, your speaker, Tato Moeng.
You all look fabulous.
Thank you. So do you.
Well, thank you very much. So before we go on, though, you've got to teach me how to pronounce your name properly, the first name.
Oh, yeah. At some point in time, you said Tato.
Tato.
No, it's Tato.
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 Yeah.
And what does it mean?
It actually means the will of God,
The will of
inshallah.
God. Okay.
And I try and thrive to live my name every day.
Oh, you don't have to explain. I see it. Anyways, good to have you here. I'm sure it's probably your first time, and Barbara's as well?
Yes.
Okay. You probably had some expectations coming into Ghana. Share with me some of the expectations you had, and, let's see if we met your expectation.
No, I think the Ghanaian people have surpassed my expectations.
Is it?
I was expecting hospitable, kind, warm, bubbly people, food rich in culture, tasty, and I've been having a great time since then. Very well received. Everyone has been kind and respectful, and it's been a pleasant 24 hours.
Nice one. And you?
I expected a lot, but one thing I do know, I think I even spoke to Juliet and said, you're going to have to kick me out of Ghana. It is absolutely beautiful. Like Barbara said, the people actually make Ghana what it is. It has been beyond amazing. I don't want to leave, and I'm moving in with Juliet and her mom. Hi, Mom.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
And Council, good to have you here.
Thank you. I've been here since 1976.
Oh, I wasn't going to ask you the same question.
It's been a wonderful experience being a Ghanaian.
I bet it has
I'm
been.
a very proud one. And mostly when I go for meetings, I tell people, when they ask me to introduce myself, I usually say a citizen of the Republic.
Absolutely. Well, you answered that quite eloquently. So I pretend I asked. I will pretend I asked. Anyways, this is very important for me, for a lot of young women, and even men who are in sports. Let's go back to when you first had your first stint with sports. Was it something that you had planned, or you just happened to have met it along your professional career? I'll start with you, Cancel.
Sports. I am not an athlete by any stretch of imagination.
Okay.
No. Primary school, nothing. Secondary school, inter-colleges, yes.
Okay.
And I am a member of the group that went to see the boys. I went to Wesley Girls High School, as most of you know. And in Wesley Girls, if you don't take part in inter-houses, you don't go for inter-colleges.
And you don't get to see the boys.
And you don't get to see the boys.
Okay.
So I had to become an athlete. And the only sport nobody would do was 1,500 meters.
Okay.
So my friends and I, we would do that one.
Okay.
the dining hall bell will be rang at 5, and we'll still be trying to complete. We finish sometime around maybe 6, 7 o'clock. We'll still be going around the field, because if you don't finish, you are not going to see boys. So that was, for me,
The motivation was to see the boys.
to see the boys. It was very, very important at that time.
Yeah.
Further on in life, then I finished school, thankfully. National service. I was posted to the National Sports Authority. Tennis office. I worked with a very wonderful gentleman. I always have been looking for him. And if anybody knows where Mr. Iwachi is, please.
Mr. what?
Iwachi.
Okay, I think the
I
name
worked under-
resonates with someone there.
Yes, I worked with Mr. Iwachi at the sports tennis office, National Sports Authority. That's where I did my national service. And those times, you know, the midweek, they play on Wednesdays. You can't go home, so we just go and sit at the stadium, and then that's how the football thing started.
Right.
So, long story short, and I've always been a supporter of Accra Great Olympics from birth. It's in my family.
Only that day.
It's in my family.
Okay.
You are in part of the Norte family, you have to support Oli. Then you have to hate Hearts of Oak. I mean, it's not personal. It's something we do. So that, in short, is my story.
Interesting. From wanting to check out the guys to eventually having to do an internship, you know, in the sporting environment.
Yeah.
And then here we are. We have a lot of conversations to have today. But what about you, Barbara? Don't tell me your motivation was the guys as well, because their motivation should be you.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. So sports, well, football was part of my family. My dad was an avid Arsenal fan, and naturally I got baptized as an Arsenal fan.
Okay.
And one of the ways that we bonded as a family was watching football every weekend. You know, we were watching UEFA Champions League all the time. You're watching the Premier League, and I said, you know what, I love this. And from 6 years old, I started playing football. I was a central defender up until I was 18.
Right.
And I went to university. And then after uni, it kind of disappeared. I was still following up on my team, Arsenal at the time. And when I came back to Tanzania after my master's, a few years in, I started working for an entrepreneur, and then I started sitting on the board of Simba. And that's where my sports journey came back in. So from being a football player, being a football fan, disappearing, not believing that I could potentially get into sports, and then boom, here I am on the board, and then 4 years later as CEO of the club.
Let me stay with you for a moment. At the time that you were going through being a football player, you know, and then loving sports and all of that, you never contemplated in that process that you were going to pursue this on a professional level. Did that come to mind?
It did not come to mind because I believe that as a woman, unfortunately, we're conditioned that it's unfathomable that a woman can be an administrator, a CEO, even an officer in anything sports related, whether it's media, whether it's administration, legal.
True.
So it wasn't even in my radar, to be honest.
Interesting. Let's come to you, Thato. I mean, entertainment and then sports.
So, with me, how it started with the love for sports. My dad actually used me as an scapegoat whenever he wanted to go watch football, because my mom would never let him go. So he'd say, I'm taking Tato out for ice cream. I'm taking Tato out for something. And where would we land up? We'd always land up at the stadium watching derbies, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. So that was my bonding moment with my dad all the time. And like Barbara says, you know, you love football, you love all forms of sports, rugby, swimming. I really wanted to be an athlete. I had it in my mind that I wanted to be the very first black woman to win a gold medal at the Olympics for swimming.
Is it?
Not going to happen.
What happened to that dream?
What happened is that I then went to an art school. And when I went to an art school, there was no sports. So that love for sports didn't go away. But like Barbara is saying, I never really saw examples of women in sports. I thought of becoming a journalist. I studied journalism. And more than anything, politics made sense because that's what I saw every single day. Until it really did fall into my lap. One day there was a big DJ returning back to YFM. It was this wonderful big thing. I was working in the newsroom at the time, doing my political stories, and the sports journalist didn't show up. Just my luck. I loved sports. I was a journalist. I was like, okay, I'll do it. Before you know it, the first bulletin, second bulletin, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't see a career in it. It didn't make sense. Was I going to make money? Was I going to be able to live through this kind of career? There aren't many female sports journalists in South Africa, let alone the continent. But as time went on, I did what I loved.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll come back to you, Barbara. So, in Tanzania, what would be your assessment of a sports leadership scene? Would you say that you're obviously the first to have been CEO, but prior to you becoming CEO, did you have role models?
In the country and even in the continent, you don't have enough role models. You know, I couldn't look at any example and say that this is the lady I'm going to get mentorship from and vice versa. So you have to be your own role model. You need to do your own research and kind of pave your own way. There were no exemplary role models and no women in positions of leadership in football in Tanzania and even in the region.
At the time, I guess then the men counterparts would be your mentors.
Correct.
How was it working, or having to be mentored by your male counterparts? Were they open? Were they supportive?
No, extremely supportive. You know, I've been blessed not to see gender, not to see race, not to see religion. So when I'm being mentored by someone, I'm not seeing that this is a male mentor or female mentor or, someone older or younger. But they've been very progressive, very helpful. I think the tricky part of being mentored by a man in this industry is they don't know the nuances associated with being a woman and what that means, the perception. Every statement that is made, every outfit that you wear, every decision that is made is scrutinized times 1,000. So the weight of decision making, they weren't able to start teaching me the weight associated with all these decisions. Football comes with pressure, but when a woman is making a decision, you're scrutinized 1,000 times more. And that's something that I saw that was lacking when you're having conversations and any form of mentorship or guidance from anyone, because they don't know the weight associated with making the wrong decisions, which happens, in our leadership journey.
When you took up, that very important leadership position, I'm sure you had an aim. You wanted to be a certain type of CEO. Mm-hmm. What kind of CEO did you want to be?
I wanted to be groundbreaker, an innovator. I wanted to be the change. I wanted to be an example that when any young girl, whether you're sitting in Dar es Salaam or you're in Soweto or you're in Accra, you can say, you know what, I want to be that.
Right.
She has defied all odds. She has broken all the barriers. She's a leading example, not only of how to be a good administrator, but to actually inspire action and inspire change in the industry.
Let me come to you, Council. I want a very candid assessment of, women in leadership in our country, in Ghana. From your own observation, what are your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I see Jerome sitting there, and I think Ghanaian men are afraid of powerful women. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And being Ghanaian men, when that fear is triggered, there are two things. Either they fall in love or they hate. The latter more than the former. Mm-hmm. Or they just call you a witch, which is what I've been called a lot of times.
You have been called a witch a couple of times?
Too many times, especially during the normal. I was the most vilified person in Ghana.
Yes.
What did I do? I just did my job, and I just said, I'm doing this. And I refused to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. I said, no, we're not doing that, we're doing this. And I was vilified for no good reason. for me. Today,
Right.
they meet me and they apologize. I mean, I've forgiven all of you. I have. You're forgiven. And funny enough, yesterday something happened, and I'm sure most of them knew. And please, for those of you who know him, I'm not mentioning names. It's not personal, it's economic. Yes, I get paid for what I do. It's rather unfortunate he keeps losing. I'm sorry, it's not personal. It's economic. Women in leadership in Ghana. There are too many examples of good leaders who are women. Men, we can do this together. You don't have to be afraid. Naturally, we are good at what we do, so we would excel. Rather than hate and pull us down, just support us. Because if nothing at all, we are your mothers. Respect us.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know how that makes the men in the house feel, but clearly that's none of her business. But let's go back to something you said. A lot of the times, you find women in leadership, and what you've just shared with us is quite common, where you face resistance, you don't get the support of men. Sometimes, and just sometimes, is it the way we exert authority? Is it because we believe that, you know, the men will give us a harder time, so we decide to rather give them a harder time, and we build a defense around us? Would you say that's also a contributory factor?
It is, but I think it's more fundamental than that. It is the way we are brought up. It is our society. Even your mother will tell you, oh, you're bad, and that is how, sorry, you are a woman. Women don't do these things. So it has to do with our upbringing. It's our society. And we grow from our homes into whatever work environment, and it's been ingrained in us. Even some of the women, most of our women, it is what holds them back. They are afraid that they will be perceived in a certain way. I wish most of them would just cast that away. Be you. Do what you have to do. I went to a school where I don't know whether it was indoctrination or what it was, but we were made to believe that we were the best and we could do anything in the world. I went to Wesley Girls at a time when we had Mrs. Champon as our headmistress. She was fearless. In fact, you got into trouble if you were shy and retiring. She would seek you out. She would try to find out what interests you. She encouraged us. And her favorite phrase always is that we had to excel at everything we do. You are a student of Wesley Girls High School, and when she gets offended, she'll start shouting, am I casting my pearl before swine? I mean, that was the woman who mentored us. She was our headmistress. So we get to the university, and for 7 years, we've been hiding in the hills of Kakumdo, a village with a little river on a small hill. You get to the university, and we had what the guys I met there called stupid confidence, because they just didn't understand us. We're like, who are these people? They ask a question, they're like, who are these people? Where are these people from? We were strange to them because we had some confidence, and it has carried me through life. I'm sure when I was thrust upon the football world in Ghana, the exact same reaction. Who is this person?
Exactly.
Isn't she a little bit afraid? Who should I be afraid of? One thing I know, and I always tell everybody, is I don't owe anybody. And so I walk confidently. What I want, I go for it. I know my worth. You ask me to do a very small matter for you.
Yes.
I calculate all my debts.
and cover your all
I
the
send
debts.
you an engagement letter.
Right.
Take it or leave it.
Let's stay with the sports administration for a while, and let's talk about some of the challenges, the real challenges you face. I mean, even in the beginning. I'm sure before you went into sports administration, you probably had a perception about it, but then when you actually started living it and having to deal with the issues day in and day out, what were some of the major challenges that gave you some sleepless nights?
The first thing was the pushback. It was not just the woman thing. It was a little bit more, there was a little meanness to it. And I was given a hard time. And I don't know. I've always been under the impression that I'm a very nice person. And people just hated me on site. And that somehow I didn't have a filter for that.
Okay.
Even before...
They would do things to suggest that?
There was a lot of hate. And I'm like, what did I do? And from people who didn't even know me, they hadn't even seen... They had one photograph, a very bad photograph. But I thought that at least they should allow themselves to even hear me speak.
Right.
But the attack was a little too quick and too mean. Eventually, 2 years down the line, or almost, some of them softened up. But till date, there are a few that still think that women have no business. And it wasn't just one. There were two of us from literally the same stock. Lucy and I were in the same house in secondary school. So I think perhaps the two of us was just a bit too much in such a short time. Maybe one first and the other, but the two at the same time, I think it just took them out. But it was difficult.
Right.
It was difficult, but like we said, we had to, look, we had been given a job to do. We could do it. If you did not believe that we could do it, that should be your problem. And so there was the need to do a little bit extra, which is what most people or most women have to do. If only the men would just relax.
Interesting. Barbara, do you share the same challenges in Tanzania, in South Africa, or other peculiar, challenges that you face where you are?
Yeah, I think similar to what the previous speaker said, you're automatically judged. You don't even have a platform to start to speak for yourself. One picture or one little statement will control the narrative. And people don't take time to actually understand who is this person that they're judging? How did they get there?
Is it because it's a female, or is it because it's a female in sports?
Both. And then also comes the youth element. I think in the continent in general, anyone under a certain age has no wisdom, has no knowledge, has no expertise. They've not judged how much knowledge they've acquired in various fields. They automatically assume if you're young, you're not the right person for the job. So whether you're in media, whether you're in medicine, in sports, any industry, even in politics, So I think you're battling the gender component, but also age.
But to be very fair, I mean, at the time that you became CEO on a very large scale, you were young. And of course, the assumption would be that she's inexperienced, and she's a woman as well. What prepared you adequately for that role?
I think multiple experiences, One, you're never prepared for the backlash that comes with being questioned. Your intellect, your experiences are put in a microscope, and all of a sudden they're dissecting everything and trying to equate that relevance. If you look at African football across the continent, you see a bunch of old men, let's be honest.
Okay.
And age is somehow equivalent to being technically and tactically the best in the field. Not realizing that expertise can be garnered or you can learn from various industries, and that's why you have cross-discipline. Someone who comes from a consulting background can also apply those same competencies in sports. If anything, maybe that can add a lot more value. Someone who has expertise in media and bringing that experience into sports. So I think came with a lot of pressure, and one thing I was not prepared for was the backlash, the scrutiny, that irrespective of whether you do well, whether you do bad, you will be judged. And they will always look for the negative narrative first before creating a counter narrative.
What are some of the very hurtful things you heard?
That I didn't get my job on merit, that give her a few weeks, she will crumble and you'll see her on TV crying and she's going to walk away. And it's about time that a scandal will break out and she'll eventually have to resign. You hear all these type of hurtful things.
And in the midst of all of that, was there a time you thought, ooh, maybe I bargained for too much. I can't do this. Did you come to that point, or for you, that all that negative energy was what you needed to just keep going and saying, you can keep talking, but I'm walking?
Yeah, I think there's been many instances where that's happened. You have difficult registration periods, and if it doesn't go the way people expect, you're attacked viciously. And if a player doesn't perform well, you see, because she's a woman, she registered him. What do you expect? He failed, not realizing that there's an entire system around decisions that are made. Maybe one point in specific, I think it was last year, there was a competition in Zanzibar. And the team was training, and at night, once the team left, there was the media, as usual. The CEO would like to hear, and it was a derby, very big derby. And when the team left, the media started to leave. I started to debrief with the security officers who were there. And after the debriefing, there was a bunch of gentlemen who decided, because I was from Simba and I was wearing my red jersey, they just came to attack me physically. All because, one, what is a woman doing there? And then also, two, in our part of the world, they assume that women are the ones who carry witchcraft. There's that perception. So if she's at the stadium at night before the game, she must be the one doing this stuff. So then you're attacked, And at that moment, I said, really, is this what I signed up for? With all the education, all the expertise that I've had over the years, I'm really vilified to something that is just a perception, that all of a sudden a woman being at the stadium a few hours before the game is somehow associated with this. And
wow. You've just cited an example that is very recent. I mean, do you see a glimmer of hope that this perception would change? Women leaders in sports in Tanzania will be more welcome and accepted?
It's changing already. You're seeing a lot of more women applying for jobs at the federation.
Okay.
You're seeing the broadcasters, a lot of female presenters, new female CEO of major broadcasters. You're seeing other clubs appointing more women in positions of leadership. So you're seeing there's already a change happening, and not just in Tanzania, all over. Most recently in South Africa, a friend of mine, Jessica from Kaizer Chiefs, she was appointed to one of the committees at CAF. So you're seeing there's already a change. So if anyone who's interested in sports and leadership in sports, now you're seeing multiple examples of women that you can look up to and say, have someone as a reference. Now I have Tato that I can look at and say, if I need any guidance in the media space, in the PR space, I have someone to look out to. I have Jessica from Kaizer Chiefs in South Africa, leading in marketing. I have someone to look out to, and there's multiple examples.
Journalism, in itself is a very busy career. I mean, you have to be in different places at different times. And to art sports journalism, it just makes it a whole lot busier. Travels, have to be at games and all of that. You're married, you're a mother as well. You have a very busy schedule. Has this been used against you, your professional life?
Of course it has. Of course it has. I think more than anything, I have been very stubborn about my dreams.
Okay.
I'm extremely stubborn about my dreams. I'm extremely stubborn about what I want. And if I want something, I'm going to get it. And I'm not going to be stopped, pursued, or, told anything negative about the career and the path I want to take. Before I was married, before I had a daughter, I had this dream. I was 15, I was 10 years old. I had this dream. There was nobody else around when I had this dream, this idea in my head that this is what I want to do. Why am I letting so many outside elements come and taint what I want? And I think that's something that's helped me a lot in my career. I've had quite a lot of challenges when it comes to
share some with me.
Sports journalism.
Right.
I think it's a good 15 years that I've been working in sports.
Oh, wow.
And it's only been the last 5 or so when everything really starts moving into place, all the hard work you've been putting in the foundation. I used to sit at a press conference, and I was the only woman there. And it was all men in this press conference. You'd put up your hand and ask for the microphone, and it would be passed away from you.
Wow.
Because what are you going to ask? Little girl, what are you going to ask? And at some point in time, you have to be like, no, I'm going to put up my hand. I'm going to stand up and ask the question I want to ask, even if I don't have the microphone. That's what I'm going to do.
So you would typically, when you don't get the microphone, you still get up and ask your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Why not?
No, yes.
And those are the kind of challenges that, unfortunately, we have and we had, because there hadn't been women who go to press conferences. There hadn't been sports journalists who go and run after the story, carrying a backpack, wearing tackies, and really just trying to find the story. If you're going to be a sports journalist, you must be prim and proper and pretty, and only on the TV or behind the desk talking about the news.
Okay.
But there was never a space created for people who want to go find the story, people who actually want to tell the story. And I think when it comes to those challenges that I faced, the more they kept on pushing, I pushed harder. So it was definitely an energy pull all the time. And it does get tiring. It gets emotionally taxing.
Okay.
But I do know that when everything finally falls and fell in place was because of all the hard work I was doing. And you can imagine 10 years of not being recognized at all. I don't think I even ever won an award.
For 10 years?
Yeah, but you work so hard, but it's not about everybody else.
Yes.
It's about you and what you want and what you've always wanted.
Right.
And I think when it comes back to the theme for today, be the change, what do you want? What is success to you?
Right.
Is it accolades and when you walk into a room, or is it what you intended to do when you started what you wanted to do? So your challenges are always going to be there in football. We are still working very hard to make sure that more females are in the space, not only in South Africa, but making sure that across the continent, women are seen in a different space. I mean, you look at myself, Juliet, Asha, Chisom, Carol, it's still only less than 10.
Right.
That's a problem. You know, there are more coming up, but we definitely need to open it up a bit more.
I mean, the beauty about the summit is that the next Thato, the next Juliet, the next Coral are in the crowd here somewhere. And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time when they will be taking their seat and I'll be here waiting to moderate. Anyways, but you've had some career-defining moments. I mean, in spite of all the challenges you've had, when you kept pushing and pushing, you've had some very defining moments. I want you to share that with me.
So after 10 years of working and doing the first division, never really getting the chance to do the Premier League in South Africa, no, you're not ready. No, you'll get your chance. After I had my baby, you're too fat to be okay. But it was, they gave me a chance to do a tournament and they sent me alone with a cameraman and an editor.
Wow.
And you basically have to provide content for good 6 shows every single day.
Wow.
I was ready for that challenge. It's like, it's on. I really enjoyed it, and that was the 2017 FIFA Confederations Cup. And to think that they'd only sent one black woman as Super Sports International, that really meant a lot to me. It meant that I also had to prove to those who are finally giving me this chance to fail, I proved them wrong. You know?
That was sweet. Yeah. And of course, you did it.
I didn't. Then the next year, it was the 2018 FIFA World Cup. You know, you are the field reporter doing pitch reports before a game, post-match, mix zone, doing everything. Then you're doing the color pieces for the entertainment shows. And I think that's also when I realized that I've got a bigger part to play in my career, not for just myself, but for everybody else, to realize that the power really is within you.
Right.
Don't doubt yourself. And you definitely have to prove your naysayers wrong.
Absolutely. Sometimes these naysayers are also women.
Of course.
I mean, I see you rolling your eyes. I'm going to come to you in just a few. Some of these naysayers are women as well. I mean, how do you overcome that?
So I think it was in 2019, a week before going to the Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. And unfortunately, I live in South Africa, a very dangerous country. And I was hijacked and put in a boot of a car. It was extremely traumatic. But I went to the AFCON because I needed to be on TV and show those who hijacked me that I'm still here.
After you were hijacked and you were released,
yes,
you went on to do your job.
Yes, I did. Bruised and all, and I look good.
Wow.
But even with that traumatic situation and really trying to find the power within yourself to go on and show people that no matter what happens in life, you've got a bigger responsibility. Unfortunately, it was the woman when I came back who started very nasty rumors, you know, about a time in my life that was extremely traumatic. But more than anything, I understood as well that they just don't understand. And that's okay. There are those in our industry and in our spaces, and sometimes it's not men, it's women. They just do not understand as yet. They are not of the wiser as yet. Forgive them. They'll be okay.
Interesting. I see she's getting emotional. I have some tissue here.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
I will be speaking to, my speakers as well on the same subject, but I know that our second lady is tired. I'm sure she's just joining us after just getting off the plane, and she has a lot of, similarly important assignments. So, Your Excellency, thank you so much once again for being here. You don't know how much this means to us. We're very, very grateful. All right. Okay. Now, so when she was talking about women being the naysayers as well, I saw you both nodding. Something that you can so relate with. Council, you want to start with it?
Yes. Our sisters and the petty jealousy. It's tiring. Are you not tired? Are you not tired? Because sometimes there's something. And you know the thing about men. When you confront them, that look, what is the problem? You say, as for me, I don't have a problem. But your sister, she's the one who is saying, and you get that a lot of times. There was a board that they were looking for somebody to fill that position. And I don't know. I didn't even know that my name had come up a number of times.
Right.
And the person to take the decision, the final decision, was actually a woman, a lawyer as well. And I didn't know any of this until the day I got the letter. And apparently, she had a problem. She's like, what is so special about this lady? Why is everybody mentioning her name? Aren't there other people who can do this? It was, why her? What is it about her? And she just didn't get it. Finally, after she was, I don't know whether she was made to or she finally gave up and said, look, fine, if you say she should do it. So she signed the letter. And then the day they were supposed to inaugurate the board, she walks in and was like, yes, where is that person? She's like, is that you? I didn't know it was you. But you, what's your name? So she knows me by Imanoti. And on the paper, she was seeing my government's name, now Odufole Noti. She just didn't put the two together. If I knew it was you, I would have done it a long time ago. It wouldn't have taken 3 months on my desk. I didn't know it had been on her desk for 3 months. Wow. Sometimes, I don't know whether our sisters, we are afraid of each other. Let me give you an example that we can all relate to.
Okay.
When I'm not busy terrorizing people, I actually spend a lot of time, what I call, car crash TV. I enjoy that. And I'm sure I follow everybody here on social media, either Instagram or, that's how I like to unwind. So I know what is happening in Ghana. I know what you eat because you like to post your breakfast, lunch, and supper. I know what you're wearing every day because I spend my free time looking at your statuses. One thing I found very curious last week. In fact, 2 things happened. Okay, one last week, another this week. Apparently, there was a lady who was very offended that Anama Background had changed her dress twice on her entertainment show and went after her. Honestly, when I find that lady, I have a few things to say to her. Because she was sitting in a radio station half naked, in sunglasses in a room. And she was angry that somebody had worn a very beautiful dress and she had changed herself during a show.
Right.
She went after her. Yesterday, was it Jamaican team? Some 3 ladies won some race, and a lady went on Twitter and was really mean, saying that they were not deserving of the medal because of they had wigs on.
Yeah.
Women.
How do you overcome that kind of naysayers?
Me?
Yes.
I'm a Ghana woman. I can take care of myself.
That answers the question.
I can take care of myself. But there are other people who cannot. You may literally kill somebody's dream by that one negative thing. It's not everybody who is, there are some of women who are very emotional.
Right.
And look, let's be careful. Some of the things we say, the things we do, you can end somebody's dream. You can even make somebody suicidal.
That's true.
If that person is not as emotionally strong as other people.
That's true.
So let's just be kind. It doesn't take anything to be kind.
That's true. It doesn't take anything at all, but it does take a lot to build a lasting system. I mean, for a woman leader, so much is expected of you.
Too much.
You will not get away with what your male counterpart will do. You're expected to do more. So I'm going to come to you, Barbara, and let's start looking at how do you become the change you want to see by building systems that last and work.
Step 1, depending on the organization or the role that you're in, for me, you do an audit, a personal audit or an institutional audit. What is it that's going wrong? What is it that I can improve? What are the quick wins, midterm, and long-term? And then you say, okay, on a personal level, what are things that I need to improve as a leader? The Barbara who started the role And the Barbara that's sitting here today is completely different. I may have come into the role very naive. I may have come in maybe as a harsh leader, and you constantly change and evolve. So when it comes to being the change, there's being the change and seeing how you evolve as an individual, how you can be the change, Barbara, my personality, but also how you can be the change within the institution and the industry. What are the things that need to improve? What is the narrative that needs to change? You look at the technical aspects, you look at the social aspects of your role, you know, you can say, I want to change A, B, and C. And then you become that change, you know, and you make those steps. And people assume that overnight, you know, I'm going to be Thato and I'm going to be the #1 broadcaster for the World Cup. It doesn't happen. It's gradual steps. You're demonstrating your worth, and that's the unfortunate thing as a woman. You constantly have to prove yourself to be able to make those barriers. So being the change is not just about having a new project or building a new stadium or, you know, broadcasting a new show. Being the change is also how you are exemplifying a new and changed version of yourself, but also a new and changed version of what people do not see in the industry.
Right. Speaking of the industry, I mean, Ghana is fortunate to have a shining example, and it's from Media General, where we have Juliet Bewa as head of sports. I think that she's a great inspiration for a lot of, you know, female journalists or sports journalists in Ghana. Yes. Let me come to you, Thato. When we talk about being a change as a broadcaster yourself, there are a lot of young Thatos here and also watching and listening. What kind of change do you expect them to bring onto the game?
What kind of change I expect them to bring into the game is the first thing that people need to understand is that you are the gatekeepers. You are the ones who tell us, the fans, the people watching, and inform us on what it is you want to do. So be intentional about what you're doing, and more importantly, research and really, really, really love what you do. Pour all your passion into it. Believe you me, when you are writing that story, when you're on that screen, when you're broadcasting on radio, we can hear it. Its energy is connecting, always. So I need those who really want to come into this industry and be the change to be more intentional about their message to not only other women, but to their sisters across the continent, their sisters across the world, their sisters and brothers, because football is all about entertainment, sport is all about entertainment, and we watch it because it's about the human spirit to break through barriers. So when you come into the space, be a really good gatekeeper. You know, make sure that the information that you're giving is something that is well researched, something you're passionate about, and entertain us.
Absolutely. At this point, I'm going to have you be a part of the conversation. I'll take your questions. I'll take your expectations. Like, anything at all you want to speak about. We want to hear you. The speakers would like to hear you as well. I see a lot of you taking notes. Let's verbalize the notes. Yes, I see a hand up. Please kindly introduce yourself, and then you can let us know which of the speakers your question is directed at, and then you can ask your question. Can we kindly have somebody helping with the microphone? Thank you very much. In the middle there. Yeah, in the middle there.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am from the space of cricket. And so for me, one of the biggest things I would want to see, this is just an observation, I would wish that the 4th edition would have focus on diverse sports, not just football. That's number one. Because if we are talking about sports, it's not just about football. So I am from cricket.
All right.
I'm a treasurer with the Ghana Cricket Association, so I am part of the leadership. For me, one of the things that I would add to the 3 speakers or to the 3 ladies is just to re-echo the fact that to be the change, you have got to have that power to always want to excel. So I will definitely agree with the lady counsel, Na. And so you need to know what you want. Again, I would agree with Tato. And thirdly, I would say that at every point in time, people find it difficult to relate to ladies who are leaders because we demand excellence. And so it is when that is actually part of you that you can break out of the mold and be the leader and the change that you want in your organization. For me, that's all I want to add.
Thank you very much. We didn't catch your name, though. If you can kindly share your name with us again.
It's Angela Aloti.
Angela, thank you so much. All right. I see lots of hands up. Should I become biased and take more questions from ladies?
No.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. We've bashed the men long enough. I won't be surprised if sometimes we have the African Men Summit Award. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
I'm Nikwe, Reverend Nikwe, Netball Federation of Ghana, President.
Hello, Reverend.
Now, I talk now of the play and the rest. On the African continent, and particularly Ghana, the technical aspect of sports, women shy away from it. Now, if you can testify, before a few years, the Black Queens of Ghana were all men coaches. Recently, we had a woman. Now we come to the princesses. You come to the maidens. Who are the coaches? The men. You come to netball, which was originally invented for women. All the men are coaches. The men are coaches. The umpiring is by men. Why is it that women shy away from the technical aspect of sports? I hope that now the play and the rest can answer that question.
Very good question.
Now,
very, very
finally,
good question.
In sports, women fail to be assertive when they are given even the opportunity. Now, give an example. You are whistling, you are an umpire. Even blowing the whistle, it becomes a problem. So I am asking now the play if she can, with her confidence, she has exuded this today for me to see. I heard of her in the normalization committee, etc. I heard of her in our OGOC Olympic committee elections, etc. She doesn't know me. Perhaps she saw my name. But this is a problem that women have to address. And I hope that this summit can address it. I hope Juliet Bewa will have a meeting with me later so that we can look at this issue. Thank you.
Reverend, that's a very, very good question. Now, over to you.
Since I have been named and shamed, Mr. Alote, I have absolutely no idea why we do not have more women in the technical aspect. I haven't really done the research, but having been in the football space in the Alice since 2018, I know that a lot has changed in terms of the technical aspect, having women there. You mentioned my dear Black Queens. I know, yes. Again, we are trying very hard. I see Anita here. Anita, please, let them see you. Anita is our welfare officer in the Black Queens. I've traveled with Anita a few times. Trust me. She is so good at what she does that sometimes I ask her whether what she's doing is even necessary. Because I think she goes even over and beyond what is needed of her. Anita will literally take all our passports. The next time you see your passport, the customs card. Is it? No, not customs, immigration. She'll even fill it. I'm literate. Most people are literate. Anita will fill it and tell you that I don't want the team to be delayed because somebody has made a mistake. That is the kind of excellence she brings to what she does. I have met female football administrators. I see Cleo here. I have met Cleo when I am in Legon. I go for walks when I feel I've eaten too much. In fact, I'm perpetually on a diet. So depending on the outfit I want to wear, I quickly have to, do a little quick,
Quick fit.
5:30 a.m., I want to leave the place before the crowds come in. You see Cleo and her girls, Sabah Hall Park, training. There are so many examples. We have female coaches. We recently did the Zone B. There were two match commissioners for the whole. It was myself and another lady from Ivory Coast. Our reports on time, excellent. When we are given the opportunity, we go over and beyond the call we have been given.
Right.
You say we are not interested. Maybe we are not being given the opportunity. You just give us small chance and see something, Mr. Aluti. Small chance.
Now, I think there's another question that Ms. Aluti, Reverend asked, a very, very, very important one. Why do women in sports shy away from the technical aspects of it?
That's the question. I'm saying, he said shy away. I'm saying we are not given the opportunity.
We're not. Okay. Barbara, you want to say something?
I think on that, it's where are these opportunities advertised and broadcasted? What we realized, at least in Tanzania, is that they were constantly shared within the same circles. And the same circles are plagued with men. So what we did is we put pressure on the federation and said, all these opportunities, whether it's a FIFA fitness course, whether it's a CAF-D coaching course, whether it's a football administrator's course, everything must be broadcasted for everyone, not only on the national TV, on social media, so that now women actually see the opportunities. Before, CAF-D coaching course in the federation.
Right.
99.9% of the federation, men. 99.9% of their network that could be interested are also men.
Right.
So I don't think it's women shying away from the technical opportunity. They're just not being heard. They're just not seeing the opportunities. You need to put pressure on your federations and on the media to start sharing this with people, so that today in Ghana, I should be able to see the next FIFA fitness course is broadcasted, so that I, as a woman or a young person, you have an opportunity to apply.
Is it also the case that sometimes the women are not adequately prepared to take up these technical opportunities?
No.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Anyone can take it.
I want to say no, and maybe it's because I'm not understanding what's happening in Ghana. But in South Africa, there's a lot of women in those technical spaces. There's a lot of women who are umpires. There's tons of them. All of the women in our netball league they're coaches. The women are the coaches. We have a Netball World Cup coming to the continent for the very first time next year. The head of Netball Africa is a woman. Yeah. Cecilia Mulukwani says something very important and profound all the time. If you want a job done, send a woman. If you want a job done right, send a woman. And that's why I'm saying maybe I'm not understanding what's happening throughout the whole entire continent.
Right.
But I'm very happy to see that in many times, in many spaces, I am sitting in a room similar as today with a lot of women who are technically and tactically astute, who know exactly what they're doing. It's just the perception sometimes of people outside not being given the chances. But believe you me, a woman will not get the job wrong.
Yes. A woman will not get the job wrong. Okay. I'll take some more questions. kindly introduce yourself, and then you can tell us which of the speakers you want to address your
Hello.
question.
My name is Rachel Ankuma,
Okay.
and I'm the founder of Accra Majestics Rugby League Club and also a sports development officer at NSA.
You're a big woman.
Please, mine is a question.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to find out if there were instances where some of the men in your organization probably tried to ruin your reputation or sabotage your projects just because you're working hard or excelling. How did you deal with that?
Yeah. The speakers are nodding, but nobody's speaking.
For me, I have not had any experience where anybody has tried to ruin my reputation. I don't have a reputation to be ruined. And sometimes I really wish somebody had time for me, but nobody. So I'm sorry, I can't relate to that. But I know what you're saying.
Right.
Actually, yes. You know when they named us for normalization?
Yes.
There was a gentleman I have never met. I don't know. Up to today, I've never met him.
Okay.
But finally, he came into my inbox about a month ago. So he passed a comment somewhere in BA that the way I am young and pretty, they'll use me to play football, something funny like that. Obviously, he didn't know me. And he called me young, so I wasn't offended because I'm not young. And pretty, so I forgave him. And I think a month ago, it came on my timeline.
Okay.
So I just put it up there with a caption, "Man suffer before."
Okay.
And then, I think 2 days later after that thing was there, somebody came into my DM. So you see, all ladies, people enter our DMs. A long write-up. And I was like, what is this? It was the gentleman, apparently.
Right.
Apologizing.
So you've been fortunate. I mean, as far as that's concerned, you've been quite fortunate. I wonder if Barbara and Thato have been that fortunate as well.
Not at all. Not at all. I got into the role and automatically started a smear campaign. You know, people hunting for pictures, people digging my personal life to try look for loopholes. So I used to see a lot of photoshopped images of me on the beach with a partner that a person I've never seen.
Wow.
Pictures of me shaking hands with my rivals, innocent pictures, but misconstrued, constantly creating smear campaigns. You comment under a player's picture, you know, thumbs up, there must be something. And most recently, there was a player that I suspended for about 4 or 5 months for indiscipline, repeated behaviors. And then they changed the narrative that, you know, Barbara must have suspended him because the player did not accept her advances. And that's the only reason why a CEO would suspend a player.
Wow.
So you're constantly attacked, whether you do well or do bad. I went to a funeral, I think about 9-10 months ago, of a board member. It was a Christian funeral, so a Muslim funeral, we're in Abaya, Christian funeral. I wore a black dress, and, you know, and it was sleeveless. The CEO of Simba walks in naked into a funeral, and they cropped my dress up to here, constantly creating smear campaigns. So whether it's an innocent picture that you take with someone, whether you write a message or comment under someone's picture, constantly. And that's the nature of my job. You know, now that you're a public figure, I need to scrutinize even people that I meet, people that I sit with, people that I follow. They're constantly looking for things to make you look bad.
Yeah.
And that comes with the territory. So now I'm not surprised when I see a Photoshop picture and I know that this is Photoshopped.
Tata, what about you?
Of course it's happened, but I really don't care.
But how do you get around it? I mean, you're a human being, and sometimes these things can really get to you.
And I like what was mentioned today, that we are different as women. Some of us are a bit more emotional. Some of us really don't care. And most of the times, I'm not going to waste my time with someone else's opinion. Who are you? Where do you come from? I don't know you. So why does your opinion matter with what's happening in my life? What I choose to do is what I choose to do. So also, I think as women, we also have the responsibility where if something bad is said about somebody else, to not just keep quiet and be compliant and listen to the gossip and another woman being vilified. Question, why would you say this? Why are you spreading all this drivel about somebody? And I think that's something I do, but I definitely try to keep myself away from the drama. You say something negative, I block you. You don't move with my vibe, I don't spend time with you. I'm not going to bring around people around my energy that are going to taint it. It's very important for you to be confident and strong and clear in what you want to do. So bringing in all that noise, can you imagine what's going to happen if you had all that noise and you listen to it?
Yeah, that's bad music. Okay, this time let's go to the extreme right.
Okay, thank you. My name is Prince Charles Afizi Hayford. I'm a sports fan. I'm a football fanatic. Unfortunately, my team is losing Manchester, so I don't normally, follow. So I just want to thank all of you for the good work you're doing. It's amazing. I stumbled on this program and I had to be here. Women in sports. Excellent, brilliant. So I want to give thumbs up to all the women. Tembi, I'm not too sure what the name is, but from Super Sports and the other places. You are doing amazing. You're doing great. And I think you're a shining light to all our young women who are upcoming. So thank you for the good job. Now, I just want to say something. I'm pretty happy as an individual or a person to have our second lady, Your Excellency, to come in here. See, so she's not here for fun, yeah? So I bet her personal assistant or herself will be taking down the pointers. We don't want to come to such a seminar or a summit and go and nothing happens. It's not going to be a talk shop. Ladies, is it going to be?
No.
No.
Thank you. So, Madam Second Lady, I would kindly entreat you to take down the pointers. See, everything in Africa or in Ghana often is policy. And like the code, the speakers were saying, what is the policy? Equal opportunity for women. So if we have to go back to the drawing board, gender ministry, I mean, of course, we know gender is, the ministry is more for, the women and all that. And then we can also come into the, Ministry of Education and all that. From the infancy or from the, preschool or primary and whatever, what is the policy? What is the engagement like? Let's put in the policy to give equal opportunity, or rather even to say a better opportunity, because we the men have dominated the space. So we need to give you ladies the opportunity to take over. And I want to commend Gloria, right? I watch her on GTV Sports. She's doing amazing. And Maltiti also. Look, once we give that opportunity in terms of policy, then we can say, oh, yes. So if we give it, in terms of the policy, if we should write the policy or enact the policies, and you don't come for the opportunities, then that is going to be your problem as women. But please, in Africa or in Ghana, it's often, oh, there is no policy, what? And so these ladies struggle. So, Madam Second Lady, Your Excellency, I know you've taken down these pointers, and you're here because you're a lady, and we know you. We know you can do it. So after today, I believe that you will engage all the sector ministers, youth and sports, education ministry, sports authority, name them, all the stakeholders, and let's work together something from a policy perspective so that we can have our ladies come in and do what they are doing the best. Thank you, my humble submission.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Interesting that he talks about policy. And now this would go to you. What are some of the current policies that you consider favorable to to women as far as sports is concerned in Ghana? Are there even specific ones like that?
Yes. You realize that one of the mandates of the Normalization Committee was to review the GFA statutes. And one of the things we did, I mean, it wasn't easy, was to have all 16 female Premier League clubs as delegates. We had to give them 16 votes at Congress.
Okay.
It wasn't easy. That is a story for another day.
That's a story for another day.
Okay. But eventually, we got that. And then we also actually reserved one seat for women. They said, why? I said, well, we'll start with one. Fortunately for me, we've been given another opportunity to do the review. And
is the seat likely
to
increase?
I'm there, and I'm going to see what I can do to,
to
add some more. It's not going to be easy, because at the end of the day, Congress is again made up of men.
Right.
But we'll be there.
We'll wait to see what comes out of it. I'll take some more questions, please. Yes. Somebody has a microphone there.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Manuel from Legon Cities, and about what Reverend said, that women are shying away from the technical side. I would say that I must commend some of the men in sports that they are actually giving us the opportunity. I saw Mr. Jerome raise his hand, and I wanted to say this before he takes the microphone, because people like Jerome, people like Felix, Yao Ampofo and the whole lot are giving us spaces to also showcase our talents. I must commend Obama, Sports Obama from Angel, also giving Empress Ifia the slot to do her exploits as well. Personally, Legon Cities is, I think I'm the only lady there.
Right.
Okay, I think we are two now. The other ladies in photography as well. Sometimes it's not as if we are shying away, but the whole conceptions, the whole things that are said about us is what makes us just draw back. For those who are here and on Twitter, majority of my friends are here, they normally call me the violence lady. It's not as if I like violence, but so there's this very person. I wanted to ask this question to Madame Norte. She says she's a Ghana woman. I'm equally a Ghana lady as well. But then sometimes when you go back to, react to such things, your colleagues come to tell you, oh, let it be. This is almost like the 4th time I've been attacked. Just yesterday I was attacked as well on Twitter. And I said, today is my birthday. I don't want to take some bad energy inside, so let me just fire the guy. Then
show him something small.
Very small. Then my CEO calls me and is like, such people do not care about their reputation. The guy he's a guy at Angel FM. Majority of people here know him. Don't let people stain your reputation, because for him, he sent someone a message that he doesn't care what people think about him. But to me, because you're a lady, at a point he threatened me that he has certain secrets about me that I don't know, to the extent that my father wanted to do a police case, but at some point we had to drop it. Now, going forward in such a situation, at a point I said I'm going to drop from sports. I just want to, have the peace of mind to do what I want to do. Then Mr. Jerome sent some comment. Then Felix sent some comment. Yawampofo sent some comment. And I said, okay, let's see how it goes. I'm going to show you why I'm a player manager and why I took that particular position, so that you know that it's not just, because now I'm tagged as, how do I say it? Once they see you with a footballer, that means you're dating the person.
Right.
And it's very common here in Ghana. Majority of the Kotoko supporters, I've seen one of my friends here, she's a Kotoko. Yeah, the least thing, they see you with Abalora, then, oh, she's the one Abalora slept with. Sorry for my language. But
I see a lot of heads nodding. I want to believe it's a very common perception.
Very.
Right.
Yes.
So we won't let our speakers touch on that.
Do we need to fight them? Because do we need to, prove a point? Because me, the least thing called when I am All right, thank you.
So let me try and interpret that in the most. Should I?
Oh, yeah, please. I feel left out.
Yes. So she says that she doesn't tolerate nonsense, and if you come at her, she'll beat you up.
I like that.
Sis, I like that. Anyways, I'll take one more from Mr. Oshiri, and then we can come back to our speakers.
Okay, so mine is purely on the administrative side.
Okay.
There appears to be a wind that is blowing in terms of bridging the gender pay gap. I want to know from the panel. Yesterday, for instance, I heard SAFA President Danny Jordan saying it's a societal problem. What does the panel think? How are we going to bridge the gap? And with now here, Black Queens, it's unjustifiable to pay thousands of dollars to Black stars, and we will watch or look on. The Black Queens and the others will have to picket at the sports ministry before they are paid. How do we bridge that gender pay gap? Thank you.
All right. Barbara, you want to begin with the response?
I wanted to address that because we have a women's team, Simba Queens, and a men's team.
Okay.
And I agree with the SAFA president who says it's a societal problem. And it comes, number one, to the broadcasters and the media, but also number two, to the private sector. If the media is not investing in TV rights for women's football or women's sports, if the private sector is not investing in sponsorships, then in terms of administration, you're put in a very unfair place to make a commercial decision to pay women less. And that's the challenge that we're facing. It's not that the Black stars don't want to pay more. It's not that the women's teams or football administrators don't want to pay the female teams more.
Right.
It's just that the media is not investing a lot in broadcasting, in showcasing women in sports, but also the private sector is not investing. So as an administrator, you have to make these tough commercial decisions. So until the media and the private sector wakes up, we're stuck with this unfortunate societal problem that will continue.
And I think when I look at what's currently happening in South Africa, I remember when I started at Supersport, one of the first things I was tasked to do, but it was a small little studio and nobody really cared about the World Cup at that time. And we were showing the FIFA Women's World Cup because I think we were trying to see how it's relating to everybody as a broadcaster. At that time, I worked with Amanda Dlamini, former Banyana Banyana captain, and Janine van Wyk, who was also at WAFCON. And that was around 2011, 2012. After that, not much has been done. At that time, when I worked with the ladies, they're professional footballers, but they still have 9-to-5 jobs. They still have to take leave from work and ask to go play football, but they're professionals. They've put in a lot of work into what they do. They've been professionals for a very long time. Sponsorship is a problem where sponsors don't see the value in women's football, where societal problem, as you say, where women's football is seen as a curtain raiser for the men's game, which I don't understand. And that is the only time we actually get to see our national teams and women's football out in the open. But every single weekend they're playing. In South Africa, we've just had a sort of league formalized, Hollywood bets. So to see Banyana Banyana where they are right now is actually a lot of work for over the years. Nukumatlo is 36 years old and she's still playing today. She still has a job. It's been very tough for women's football. And you're right, it's a societal problem. But if the broadcasters don't broadcast these games, 2011, 2012, to next again, when you do women's football, was the CAF Women's Champions League and only the final. But yes, your World of Champions Supersport brought you that. But that's a problem. Why couldn't we see the whole entire tournament? Why wasn't this organized before? Why is it a last-minute gasp just because there is Barbara or Juliet who's taken interest and tweeted about it? These women have been working for months preparing this tournament. It's not something we don't know. You look at the sponsorship boards around the stadiums, the marketing around the tournament, it's null and void, it's not there. Why is that? And in South Africa, we've had key stakeholders. Momentum has come through and sponsored quite a lot of women's sports, but they stand alone sometimes. Momentum has sponsored the cricket team. Momentum does the awards for CAS. Then you've got SPAR, who only sponsor the SPAR Pro tiers. Then you've got Sasol, who sponsor Banyana Banyana. But really, those are the only ones. Immediately after Banyana won the WAFCON, the biggest question was in South Africa, are they going to get some sort of payment for this? Are there going to be more sponsors who are running to actually come through and say, women's football, we want to sponsor you? Unfortunately, not. If not, more noise is made about it. And that's why I feel that as women, we also have to be the change. If we are CEOs and companies, we need to be the ones who make sure that we go and sponsor women's football. Because I'm sorry, if you're going to wait for men to do it, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You know. Now, you want to have a take on this?
This is, it's a very sore point for me because when I came into football administration, I came from private practice where I tell you how much I'm charging you to get you half of the matrimonial home, custody of your children, and maybe a very good financial settlement. I tell you how much I'm charging you. I've always been able to name my fee. Yeah. You can pay or you can walk away. Then I come into football administration, and there's a tournament, and the Black Queens are being camped in Pram Pram with no mosquito nets, and I'm like, what is going on here? So that's where the battle started. Eventually, we ended up at La Palme. Not Badina, where was it? La Palme, right? I think 2018. We went to La Palme. No. When we were playing the tournament in 2018, we went to La Palme. Apparently, it was the first time because I said, look, for me, I cannot be traveling to Pram Pram in that traffic to go and visit the team. I said, we are coming to La Palme. It was unheard of. Then, bonuses. I took it upon myself to go and chase the money in the ministry. Chief director. Madam, now my boss. God bless his soul. He should rest in peace. That day, the deputy minister heard me from his office. He had to come down and intervene. Madam, what is happening here? I said, talk to your chief. He doesn't respect. What do you mean by a marble? I'm here to come and collect the money. And I wouldn't leave this man. Out of frustration, they wrote us a check. They still owe us. How many years arrears to be? I've lost count. At least I managed to get some. I went to a very respected, rich industrialist in Ghana to try and go and get sponsorship for Black Queens. Same refrain. It is our society. We are trying. Look, we've been pushing. Things are changing. We've come a long way in the last 3-4 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've come a long way. But it is so slow.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
So slow.
Yeah.
Hillary is here. Constantly frustrated. But I'm happy she's always frustrated. It's not
Anyways.
easy. I don't know how they... Look, I agree with Danny. It's societal. It's something to... No sponsorship.
Yeah.
No eyeballs. I was surprised they got 45,000 in the last... in Morocco. That was the World Cup.
Yeah.
You have those numbers. It's unheard of. It's happening. It's a little too slow.
Right. There is
Black
some
stars,
progress, but it's very
they fly
slow.
private jets. Black queens, economy, Air Maroc. You go to the airport at 4 a.m.
Okay.
The black stars, nobody would even dare suggest.
Let's not spoil business for Maroc. They're just doing their job.
Yes.
But when it comes to this, I wanted to say the role of the media, as much as we believe it's a societal problem, if the media believes something is catchy, something is trending, they will create a big enough buzz that will inspire action. And at times, journalists, and many of you who are in the room, you don't realize the role that you play in actually inspiring the private sector to be interested. You know, if the media says this is the story, everyone goes there. But without the role of the media, you can't inspire action in society.
I agree.
That's very true.
I'll take some more questions. Yes. There's a lady in red here.
You.
I want to engage as many participants as possible. Okay, but the microphone is there. Yes. Yeah, you can use a microphone. It's fine.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be part of the third edition, right away from the first edition. My name is Rafatu Inusa, a board member of Ghana Rugby, and also a coach at the National Sports Authority. I'm very glad today to meet the panel here, especially my lady from South Africa, because I'm into rugby. When I had the opportunity to go to Botswana for a conference, and when I came back, I had to go back to South Africa for some courses. And like Reverend was saying, we had so many technical women into rugby, and I believe in Ghana here we lack that. Now, what I'm trying to say is that when you look at the men, we need to absolutely recommend the men for pushing women. Because I believe I take my story right away from the basic level. I was pushed by my sports master to the secondary level, my headmaster. When I came out from SS, because I was doing long distance running and I was playing football at the same time. So when I came back from the secondary school, and rugby was introduced in Ghana for women in 2009, and my cousin said, Rafatu, I know you're already into sports, so why not take advantage and participate? The first day I was on the pitch, the coach said, "Whoa, this just, where are you coming from?" I said, "Well, I'm also a Ghanaian and a Northerner." And he says, "Okay." So right away from there, I was fortunate to be part of the national team for 2009, 2010. And then I break for a while and then came back to rugby in 2016 when the current president of Ghana Rugby, Mr. Herbert Mensah, actually, he was the one who encouraged me, empowered me to do what I love to do till today.
Right.
And I believe that not only the women who like to encourage women, men need to applaud it for what they also been doing alongside that. Now, the current atmosphere we have here in Ghana, I don't know of other countries in Africa or the world, you find it interesting to see, like Madame Legal said, men pulling women because they see them as a threat. But in my situation, I say that women are threats to women. I started with rugby right away from playing rugby. When I got my injury, I decided, an Africa Rugby invited me for a conference. When I came back, I decided to venture into administration and coaching. So I was doing both administration and coaching alongside. I had to manage both. But it got to a time, the women that you started with so many much challenges coming from them, with negative energy in trying to pull you down, i.e., with a perception that this person is being empowered through sexual link, which is very sad. Recently, you have it on social media with a tattoo form of your personal picture and a line, so many, which is so sad, that I don't know what type of jealousy and hatred. It is sad that it is coming from women. It is sad because I believe that for a couple of years now, we talk about women empowerment. If we, the women, don't empower ourselves, who then empower us? So if you find yourself in a situation where you have a man boldly, because the man will not just, push you. He look at your capabilities and what you love doing. I love sports, and I love to get involved in all sports. That is why I moved from athletics to rugby. And I believe I achieved a lot of success and pulled across so many of my friends. One beside me is Anita, who is also a coach and a development officer. We try to groom. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect.
So your achievement largely has been because of the support you have from men and not women.
Absolutely.
And that support is interpreted as having come about because of the sexual offerings that you give?
With the current mindset.
Okay.
Exactly. So how do we change that perception as to women who have this leadership position?
They actually merit it.
They came there with merit, not by sexual link.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very
so
much. We're going to, address this, but I'll take some more questions and then we can come to the panel to deal with it. If we have the microphone on the back, can you kindly pass it to the lady in front after the gentleman asks this question?
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Mensah, a representative of UPSA Sports Committee.
Okay.
And I'm here. I have a lot of questions for my group.
Hey. Can we start with just one for now?
So, okay. So, for me, my question is, let's take our country, for example.
Okay.
When it comes to sports, we have the mindset that sports is for only people who are outside, who are not educated. We just have the brand like, it's not for educated people, because someone cannot be in school and combine the thing at the same time. That's the mindset that we have in the country.
Okay.
But when you trace the sports, you can see sports is always from schools and from the colleges. So my question is, what are you going to do? Because we have a lot of people who are in schools that they will graduate and they will find themselves not getting any job. But those people, when you trace their bio, you can see most of them, they are participating in either high jump or athletics or either football. Yeah. But those people, we can groom them so that when they complete the school, if not the case of playing the football or anything, they can be a sport journalist. They can even own their own team. So my question is, how are you going to groom those people from the scrap? Thank you very much.
Right. Barbara, I think maybe you want to start with that because you're a sports administrator specifically with the club and you identify talents, you nurture them. Do you have a response to what he's asking about identifying and grooming them from a very young age?
So I think it goes back to the structure of different clubs or different institutions. So whether you're in cricket or whether you're in swimming, you need to have an academy structure. And you need to have the right scouting in place to be able to identify potential talent, groom them at different ages, and then promote them, if possible, through the various stages. So it goes back to the strategy of each institution. For example, the club that I'm currently running, we do have an under 17, under 20. However, it's our vision to now have under 13, under 15, so that we can actually get younger talent, groom them, and then create a system for them to be able to excel. But going back to education, unfortunately, that plagues the entire continent.
Right.
Today, the players that you're signing or the players who are showing up are those who have not finished school or those who have not done well academically. But now when I look at the Premier League and La Liga, they're actually making it a requirement for someone to have finished at least 10th grade or 12th grade. Or if you haven't finished, you now have to do a GED equivalent so you can finish certain levels, because they realize the role of education in you being able to retain information, technical information, but also for you to have the characteristics and the behavior and the mannerisms required to excel as a professional footballer. So I think this is a challenge that we all need to address, and it starts with the academy structure. If you have the right academy structure, you instill these values that you can then use and foster this crop of players or athletes in the future.
Thata, how does it work in South Africa?
In South Africa, the education for sports is there. But I think with our economy and the struggles that we do have, especially when it comes to a high rate of unemployment, it becomes very difficult for no matter what industry you're in to actually get the education you want and then actually find the correct job within your spec.
Right.
But it is a continental thing that we do not have links. We see it a lot in South Africa when it comes to rugby and you compare it to football, because rugby is predominantly played by the white counterparts who've had the privileges before. So in rugby, they do have those systems where you go to certain schools and you get groomed by the time you're 11 years old, you are a consummate professional when it comes to rugby.
Right.
In football, it is those and seen as those who didn't finish school, those who aren't educated enough, but those are steadily changing because we've got varsities that do offer studies and football, and then only can you go through and play, but you need to finish your university and get a degree. So steps are being taken, but I also feel like if we don't talk about these steps, if we don't tell other people throughout the continent and tell them how it's done, it'll only stay in a small circle. And I do believe that perhaps in small corners of the continent, everybody's doing something to make a change. But that's why it's so important for us to come and have these summits so that we can pick out the different ideas. You go back home and you heard about something in a different country, in Tanzania, in Ghana, and you bring through that idea and see how it works.
Absolutely.
But slowly but surely.
Council, I mean, in dealing with our players, do they understand the importance of having to finish a certain level of education? Is it challenging to get them to go back to school or, put them in school, let them complete, still do, their sporting activities?
I mean, we all cringe when a mic is thrust in the face of any of our sports people because we know what is coming next is a bomb. And I have been in rooms where policy makers are trying very hard, even to the extent of codifying some of these things. I think the Sports Act, the regulations coming with it, they're trying very hard to make it mandatory for education. At least you must have a certain basic level of education.
Right.
And so I know the Sports Ministry and GES, there are a lot of working groups trying to find a way of dealing with this issue that honestly going forward to be in sports, you must come from the schools and colleges.
Right.
With the normalization process, we did a few papers which we've presented as part of the Sports Act, the regulations and everything, because we all understand that it is the way to go.
That's the change we will be seeing.
We should be seeing. But then we have the other aspect where we have very raw talent when it comes to football. Not in the cities and towns.
Yes.
So you have somebody who is not educated, but you see the talent and the potential. So the conversation is fine. He's not in school. And perhaps not being in school, he's had enough time to hone in his skills at a very young age. How do we now get this person some education so that at least we know that with education, the talent, the raw talent would even be more enhanced?
Absolutely.
There's a whole lot of work going on in this area.
Okay.
And I'm sure soon enough we would see. I have been to a few workshops. I know they're doing it through the regulations for the Sports Act.
Okay.
Ghana Education Service has a whole directory trying to deal with the sports ministry to get this thing done, because we all realize and we all understand it is the way to go.
Absolutely.
There are challenges.
Absolutely. Speaking of way to go and challenges, I just want to share this. So I play tennis sometimes at the sports stadium, and one of my coaches, you probably would know him, Coach Yaya. Now, he comes up in this conversation because I notice every time I go to play tennis, and I happen to go earlier than, the late afternoons, when the children come onto the court, he would make sure that they're only children who are coming back from school. He would not entertain the children who are just, coming to come and play. And I think that's a good thing, because then what happens is that the children will go to school knowing that if I go to school, I can come and play tennis later. And some of them would even come in their uniform. So the coach would know that indeed they had gone to school. So I think that, it takes everybody's effort, really, not just at the policy level, but the coaches the coaches that deal with the players and all of that, to make sure that going forward, talent, no matter how natural it is, have some form of formal education attached to it to make them whole. Right, let me take some more questions. I know we have a lot of questions. Yes. I see one here, I see one there, I see one at the other end as well. Who has a microphone? Please pass it. If you have it, you can ask your question. Yes, my dear.
Hello, good afternoon. And,
good afternoon.
I'm very glad to be here. My name is Ehonam Opoku Adjua Pokuya.
Okay.
I'm the head of communications for Berekum Chelsea.
Okay.
I would like to ask, despite the nice support from this summit we may all receive, how do we persevere in the midst of all this, knowing that the challenges and abuse and economic issues are still going to exist? Thank you.
That's a brilliant question. Any of you want to take that?
That's an academic question. We are here to do sports summit.
Let me let Barbara take this.
I think perseverance is irrespective of industry. It's about your own grit, you as an individual. So challenges, whether you're in medicine, whether you're in politics, whether you're in media, or whether you're in sports administration, are going to be there.
Yes.
And especially if you're a woman, whether you're the moderator or the guy behind the TV screen. So persevering despite these challenges is about testing your own grit, building that within yourself. There is nothing, so the conference, what it's going to do is it's an enabling tool. It's going to open your eyes, it's going to give you the exposure, hopefully plant a seed of change. But ultimately, you breaking the barrier, or you changing the narrative, or you trying to defy the odds, it's you against you. Unfortunately, we put a lot of pressure on our institutions at times, put pressure maybe on the conferences or the classes that we take, but ultimately it's about you. If I take a class on leadership management or confidence building, it doesn't mean by taking the class, all of a sudden I'm going to be a leader, or all of a sudden I'm going to have the confidence to persevere. It ultimately goes down to you. And that's the unfortunate thing about life. We assume that some classroom or some job is going to propel us to the next level. We don't actually realize when we're young that it's all about us. It's all about our personal effort. You know, it's what we do to get ourselves to the next level. It's what we do to become the change. The conference will not make you the change that you want to be in the world. The conference will inspire action so that you can make the change to be able to propel yourself to the next level. So I hope I've answered you in my own way.
Are we satisfied? I see
Yes.
a nod. All right. Please, I want you to pass the mic to Kathleen. Yes. Yes, Kathleen Alpha, please, if you can kindly pass it. And it's important for her to speak because she's in the business of nurturing talents from Ghana and putting them out there. When we talk about issues to do with education and all of that, I want to know how that plays out when you take talents out of Ghana and you're faced with a real, academic or, theoretical part of the game or the sports. How do they survive?
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so I was excited to hear us talk about the educational aspect because I think it's a big problem in our area and it's something that makes us lose a lot of real and raw talents, as Na mentioned. You meet a kid who is brilliant, good at what he does, but unfortunately can't even express himself. And people really exploit them. When it comes to even documentation, they don't have any idea on even what date of birth has been written on my documents, what I'm being told, who I am. People define them, and then that ends up either ending what could have been a career or ending what could have made him the best player we could have ever had from Ghana or Africa as a whole. So I'm excited to hear that education is really going to be part of the process of getting people into sports.
All right, Kathleen. Thank you very much. I'll take some more questions, please. Yes. She's had her hand up for a while.
Hi, my name is Yvonne Woyame. I work with the Ghana Rugby League for 2 years. Okay. So my question is on women's football and the media's role. I feel the first step to effecting change is to be seen and heard. When I go on social media, I can count like 2 women who are promoting even women's sport. The media is not going to hop on something that doesn't sell. So what are we women doing to promote women's sports?
Interesting question. Tata, I think you should take that.
I will agree with you to some degree. Women in general also are not the ones supporting each other out there with whatever sporting codes they're doing. But it's not really their responsibility. If they don't like rugby, they don't like rugby as women. Then maybe they like football. And when you look at some of the women who do like rugby, who are speaking about rugby, in South Africa, we've got quite a lot of women who are involved in rugby.
I'm sorry, not on rugby, just not on rugby, like even in football.
Yeah, I was elaborating and getting there and saying that, yes, women may not be talking about rugby and football and sports in general on social media. Is it their responsibility to sit there and talk about something that they probably don't understand? They probably traditionally have never been encouraged to watch, encouraged to, and you're very right, we should be supporting our sisters across the continent. But it's actually the responsibility of us in the media, women in the media, to promote on social media football, to promote netball, to promote hockey and rugby, because we come from an informed place. And when we come from an informed place, you are going to be more receptive to someone who knows what they're talking about. And maybe if I spoke more about rugby and spoke more about netball, someone else might be interested to say, hey, I'm seeing someone who looks exactly like me. Why does she like rugby? Why does she like women's football? And that would probably get people interested, if I understood your question.
I don't think you
Are you satisfied?
I don't think you understood my question.
Okay.
We have people who are very sport-oriented, who do like sports influencing on social media, right? They don't speak on, maybe there's a game coming up. Oh, there's a game coming up. You just tweet it. No, they don't do that. Rachel here works with the Ghana Rugby League Federation, and she had, how many followers do you have? 5,000 followers. When she began to interact with her followers about rugby in Ghana, she hit 13K. You see, just tweeting, not being technical. Rugby days, there's a game here, catch it. I don't see women doing that. And I see a lot of Stan accounts. I'm an Arsenal fan, or I am United fan, but I don't tweet anything about United women even. So
I completely understand what you're saying.
I disagree
but
with you.
Yeah, I
disagree with you. We have an example sitting right there wearing fresh water pearls and a very lovely bob with red lipstick. Do you follow Hillary on social media? Follow. Are you friends with her on social media, Hillary?
It depends on her brand.
If two ants are competing, she will talk about it. It is not just football. It's not just women's football. Athletics, everything. So long as it's sports, Hillary. And Hillary is an HR practitioner with an oil company. What business does she have with sports? But that is all she does on her social media page. Jerome is a journalist. I've never seen Jerome write a story about the Accra Great Olympics. Every day. Jerome has never dedicated his page. Jerome, his blog, the number of people who read it. If Jerome would use one day to even promote My Dear Black Queens, people would know that we are there. Kotoko, Kotoko, Kotoko.
I'm sure he's taking notes. I'm sure from
I've been
today.
needing to say that since 9 a.m.
I'm sure from today.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Anyways, we've got to be wrapping up. But you're sitting where you're sitting today because you have chosen to become change leaders in the sports space. For the many young people listening to you now, what has it taken, or what would it take to create more of you?
More African Women Sports Summits?
No. More outstanding Tato Moe, more outstanding Barbara, more outstanding Madam Legal.
But that's what I'm saying, you know, with what Juliet and the team is doing. Today I'm in Ghana. I've never been in Ghana before my whole entire life. And I'm speaking to a room filled with women who are interested in sports. There are those watching on social media. There are those watching on YouTube. There's definitely 2 or 3, if not 50 or 500, who have listened to something today and know what are the next steps to do to create the next Barbaras, Tatos, and Juliets. It's only a matter of time, and sometimes I feel like we should also be very patient with ourselves as women and not want to bulldoze everything. We have to be so calculated in what we're doing, because I promise you, 5 years from now, Juliet will be having the summit somewhere different across the world. It's going to grow bigger, Juliet. It's absolutely amazing. And I am so honored today to have imparted some knowledge and also gained some knowledge from all of the participants. It's an honor, and there's no way there won't be more Tatos. Don't waste my time.
Barbara?
I think we read these things all the time, perseverance, dedication, and hard work. But it's being committed to that goal. At times, we are our own enemies. We have this imposter syndrome that, I'm sitting there, the 12-year-old Barbara is dreaming of being the CEO, and I'm like, no, that's not possible. It's just not attainable. I'm just going to stick to being, a field officer. No. If you want something, and I think everyone sitting here is a good example of that. All the things we wanted to achieve within our industry are things that we fought to get there. It didn't just happen by accident. We were persistent. We were dedicated, and we were like, I'm going to be the #1 broadcaster for the World Cup. I'm going to be the first female CEO in Tanzania of a football club. It's about what we wanted, and we stayed committed to that. And every single day making those little steps. So for the next Thato, for the next Barbara, for the next Juliet, it's about being committed to that. you know, and being every day, you're taking a tiny step towards that. Don't lose sight of that goal. I think we need to, the opposite of brainwashing ourselves, we constantly have this imposter syndrome, especially as women, that this goal is too big, that, you know, the next Africa Women's Sports Summit cannot be in New York. You know, it has to be in Ghana, it has to be in Joburg. No, what if it's on the sidelines of the UNGA in New York next year? Because that's attainable. But it's about all those little steps. You know, we need to remove all of that cloud that kind of plagues us from moving forward. So the next change maker is you, because you're working on it every single day. The goal that you have, you're doing everything possible to get there.
I love it.
Yeah.
No.
For me, honestly, I know most of the female sports journalists because quite apart from the FA and the national teams, they also follow the Premier League teams. And if what I see them do, they continue to do it. I don't know, where's Akosia Lashes? I saw her outside in a very tight jeans. Where is she? She in here. Akosia, she is, you know, where is Lashes?
I'm sure she's around somewhere.
She's out, I'm sure she's around somewhere. She's in the t-shirt, so I think she's part of the, Akosia is everywhere. I see Na in the room. They are everywhere. Aisha, I know, is living her best life in Morocco. Look, they follow the team. Look, sometimes I wonder how they do it. You know, Ghana weather. You get to this hot afternoon, they will be there, full face of makeup, impeccable, sweating, but they will still be presenting. Very harsh conditions. You see my girls, they are there. I'm so proud of them. I don't think I've ever told them, but they are my role model. And I'm sure they probably wouldn't believe me. Because sometimes I ask myself, how do they do it? The sheer grit. You get to the program, they are there. Football, sometimes they travel. Look at our motorways. Unmotorable roads, harsh conditions, but these ladies are there. They follow the female teams. They follow the national team. Sometimes you even, places you see them, I'm like, how did you get here? They're like, oh, we took the night bus. And I'm like, wow. So, ladies, if you continue to do what you are doing now, believe you me, I know some people say, hey, I wish I were like you. Trust me. If I tell you what my life is, if you want to be like me, one, you must eat a lot of kenke and very little sleep.
Speaking of kenke, we will definitely have some refreshment. I'm not sure if it will be kenke though, but we'll have some refreshment before we leave
Don't be fooled by the Christy Brown. Before the Christy Brown comes on, a lot has happened.
Put in the hard work. Put in the hard
I
work.
haven't slept in the last 1 week because I have to send my response to CAS. You know, my friend, Amata. Yesterday, the ruling for the first one came, but the actual appeal brief, 1 week, I haven't slept because I want to travel next week. Yesterday, I uploaded it to CAS. Today, I'm here wearing Christy Brown. You should have seen me yesterday. Charlie Wati. Just trying to put my documents together.
Absolutely.
So
it takes a lot of hard work.
Look, I don't know any other way to do it than put in the hours. There's a hip life. I really like that line.
You can sing it.
It's one of the hip life songs. Something about, like, do you, your time will come. Like, just look, continue doing what you are doing. I see all of you. At least they don't know you, I know you, and everything you just continue doing it.
All right. No, thank you very much. I see you're getting very emotional.
Yes,
Yeah.
because look, they work hard, and the conditions under which they work, and sometimes I hear the salaries shocking.
That's a
But
conversation for another day.
But they're still at it.
Yeah.
Look, you are the real heroes.
That's right. You're the change we want to see. Well, if you just join us, it's the Africa Women's Sports Summit 2022. So much has happened. You've missed out on a lot. But the good thing is, because it was streamed on the social media handles, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube and, of course, on Max TV. It was live. You probably may be able to catch a repeat sometime. Or you can resort to Facebook or YouTube. We're going to see some quick slides of some recent change leaders, and then we'll come back and wrap this up.
Berelere nale, wonganu bere, berelere nale, wonganu bere, sobelere nale, sobe sugo, sobelere nale, sobe.
Of the year, you saw that earlier. Wow. What else do we need to be motivated? And for me, it's not just the motivation you need to excel as a young African woman in sports, but the motivation you need to excel as a female in any field at all. I want to thank you for accepting our invitation to speak at the summit. To you, Na, to you, Barbara, and to you, Thato, as well. Thank you so much. You have really, really inspired all of us. And especially to all our participants who have traveled from very near and far to be part of today's engagement. But a very, very special one, to the Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Her Excellency, Samira Baumia. Thank you so much for your presence. Indeed, you have affirmed your position for women empowerment by being here today, and we're grateful. To, of course, the entire team, from Juliet to the entire team. I'm not even going to name names because it's a large team. Congratulations once again. Another year, you've nailed it. We can only expect this to grow bigger every year. And to the donors, to the vendors, to everybody else who provided services for today's summit, we are grateful. My name is Miriam Osei Ajiman. I'm with Media General on 3FM 92.7 with the Urban Blend, Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's been a pleasure moderating this for the third year. I look forward to many more years when the younger change leaders take their seats and we can have this very important conversation. Till next year, be safe and continue to be the change you want to see.
like to pick my brain. At times, these sessions are a little bit overwhelming, and you just want to ask something personally on the side. I'm completely open, and vice versa on social media. My handle is at BVRA. So Barbara, but instead of the A, you have a V. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, no.
I would rather you didn't, but if you really have to, because I'm starting my vacation and it's well end. But you all know me on social media. It's Imanorty, IMAANORTEY. If you're looking for now to follow Naughty, you will not find me. It's Imanorty. All social media. I don't do Twitter. I don't understand it, but I'm there. I read, but I don't tweet. I like the scandalous ones, the more entertaining. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Imanorty, IMAANORTEY.
Over to you. Well, officially, we're done. Thank you so much for coming. And we have provided some refreshments, so please make sure you grab some refreshment before you leave. But we will take a photo together, and then we'll have Her Excellency as well join us to take a photo. And like I said, you can always go back to our social media handles, AWSS, and you can watch the summit once again. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. It's been a pleasure moderating this.
Thank you for hosting us.
Anytime.
Photo. Please, I will not take a photo with this ugly